Morning, everyone. Welcome to Applied Economics. We are now at our second week, and our topic for this week is the four factors of production and types of economic system. So, for this week, we will define the four factors of production. We will also be explaining the role of technology and entrepreneurs in the utilization of the economy's factors of production, and we will also differentiate between planned and free market economic systems. So let's proceed to our first slide discussion. So first one is the four factors of production. So before discussing the four factors of production, we have a problem of scarcity. So when we say scarcity, there is a limited supply of resources. So economic resources are scarce and limited in supply. So what are these economic resources? So these are resources that are used for the production of economic goods. Now, these resources are what we call factors of production. So the factors of production that we have are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. So let's first discuss land. So land is considered as a natural resources, and trees, water, forests, mineral, and oil are considered under the category of land as factor of production in economics. So basically, these natural resources, even without the help of man, could something for their consumption. Trees bear fruits. Water has its own creatures such as fishes, shrimps, oysters, shells, and other ocean creatures. And meanwhile, mineral and oil are essential products that are used in the production of other products such as fuel, gasoline, and energy that gives life to our industry. So basically, those examples are considered the natural resources that we have in land. Another factor of production is labor. So when we say labor, it refers to labor force. So the exertions of human energy in order to produce, or in layman's term, to work, or term to work. So according to the labor law, labor force starts from age 15 years old and above, who able and those not included in the counting of labor force are who are able and capable of working, and could render service, employed or unemployed under the labor code. So some of those not included in the counting of labor force are persons who are full-time students, housewives, and disabled persons who are incapacitated to work. But nevertheless, during our modern times, these disabled persons have already found their place contributing to the labor force, because modern society paved the way of proving that these people still are worthy in the labor force. So even the housewives are no longer housekeepers and caregivers in the family. They have their own career, and they could also contribute in the society through being a labor force. So they involve themselves in a part-time job like online selling or selling processed meats, such as, especially here in Philippines, tocino, longanisa, and such other processed meats. Also cosmetic brands. So it's very popular here in the Philippines that we are doing some selling, especially households or to your friends, family, or relatives. The selling of cosmetic brands, Boardwalk, Avon, Natasha, Marikina Exchange, and so forth. Also, handicrafts and electronic load or the e-load that we have. So basically, housewives also involve themselves through a labor force. So labor force is divided into two. We have the physical exertion and mental exertion. So when we say physical exertion, this labor is mostly by hand, body, or actual manpower action. For example, we have farming, fishing, carpentry, construction, and so on and so forth. So there is a physical exertion used by a labor human. And also for mental exertion, labor is used mostly for brain decisions, making, and planning. So examples that we have is managerial supervision, architect, bank, positions, etc. So Filipinos are known as exporter of labor force because of their known resilient physical stamina matching their good educational attainment. So today, a lot of professional uh, Filipinos such as nurses, teachers, physical therapists, caregivers, seamen, or singers, dancers are in demand abroad because of their extraordinary skills and talents. And the overseas contract workers comprise a big part in the computation of our gross national product or GNP and gross national income or GNY. So that's why those OFW is a big part of our society and economy. Also, we have another factor which is capital. So anything that is man-made like machineries and equipment that are used in the production of another product would be under capital. So due to man's innovation and encompassing vision of the future, man has created tools and equipments that allowed him to produce his everyday needs. So one very good example that we have for capital is technology. And last factor that we have for production is entrepreneur. So although it can be classified as under labor, a special type of work and is therefore not ordinary labor. Why? Because he or she is the person who combines the other economic resources for in the production of goods and services. And also, entrepreneur is the gift of skill in providing physical and mental knowledge plus money to put up a business. So he or she hopes to make profit, normal profit, which is the amount after all allocations to the other economic resources that have been made. So these are the four factors of production. And earlier I mentioned scarcity, and the problem of scarcity is the main reason why we have to economize our economic resources as efficiently as possible. Why? Because here in the Philippines, we have a rapid growing of population, and uh, we have to know that the resources here that does not grow instantly. And the use of modern technology really helps a lot in the efficient distribution of this limited resources. Yet, the need to economize is still very much needed to satisfy everybody. So, economics also studies the basis in the problem of production. So the need to choose arises between of the limitation of the resources and the need to satisfy limited wants of the people will be the basis for the economy's action. Uh, we will discuss the four major concerns of economics in the problem of production and what is called economic problems. So one economic problem is what are the products and services to be produced. So mainly, this is the decision on what goods and services to produce and their quantities. How many should be produced and what should be produced. The necessity of the products and the demand of the people determine what are the products to produce and the type of service to provide. For natural resources, the problem of utilization and conservation are factors to be considered in production. So we have example woods. So woods are being used for the production of houses, cabinets, and furniture. Now, the answer to the question whether logs should partially or totally be banned is subject for intelligent debate. For human resources, what is the right age for those who work part-time or full-time job? Also, what type of worker should be needed for a certain work? How many holidays are to be given? When does the contract ends? These are some questions that we have to address in the economy problems. Also, we have how to produce. So this is the decision in the production process and method of producing. So are we endangering the environment if we are pulling our waste anywhere? Basically, if the products are not harmful to the health of the people. And another question is the product harmful to the environment as well? So these are some questions to be answered in the process of how to produce a certain product. Another question that is need to be addressed is for whom to produce. So these are type of people who will demand for the product or who will need the product, basically the market target or the target market that is used in the economic term. Who would accept the product from the market? And another one is the availability of the produce. So basically, are the resources available all throughout the year, either locally made or export material? Another question that needs to be addressed is, will the product be a finished product, processed product, or byproduct? Will it be seasonal or occasional? So the manner in which these economic problems will be solved depends greatly on the type of economic system it adopts. Since I have mentioned the type of economic system that this economic problem that we'll be adopting, I will discuss the types of economic system. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 types of economic system. Let's go to our first type of economic system, which is the traditional economy. So traditional economy is a backward type of economy. It is characterized by a system where the production of good, trading, and distribution of income are sanctioned by a custom. So referring to the traditional manner of doing things makes decision on what, how, and for whom to produce. So the methods of production are carried over by the system used by our forefathers. Moreover, technological change and innovation are closely constrained because they may clash with tradition and threaten the social order. Also, we have to consider religious and cultural values. Why? Because they are over and above economic activity. So to attain status in the society, one must belong to the highest position in the religion or tribe. So example that we have is in Afghanistan, because of its tradition, can afford to sacrifice themselves for jihad or holy war, since all men are assigned to be soldiers. Military weapons are a must in their economic activity. So women are no longer being sent to school once they finish their elementary grades. This is one traditional economy. And another example that we have as traditional economy is in Korea. So in South Korea, when a man or a boy reaches a certain age, they are sent on a training on an army to serve their country, and once they have finished it, they may resume back to their own lives. So that is one traditional economy. We have also another type of economic system, which is the command economy. So for the command economy, the government owns the means of production. So the type of economy is called communistic economic structure, whereby all the capital resources and consumer goods are being divided to its citizenry. So the government dictates what, how, and for whom to produce. Basically, there is no private or individual production and consumption is allowed. So the government dictates its prices, the government dictates how to produce it and for whom to produce it. So an example of command economy is the communist China and the USSR. And before the dictated the entire product to be produced and how much of it would be sold. So USSR is Russia. Okay, so in communism, there are some essential characteristics. So for communism, of course, there is no economic freedom. So you cannot choose to get rich. Why? Because everything has a fair share. You could not just put up your business because the government will take care of it. They will control your business. They will control everything, and no one is allowed to just lie down all day. Everybody has to work out in order to eat. Also, communism has no free competition. So mainly, the government is the sole source of central planning because it dictates how much to produce and how much price the commodities cost, when to produce and how to produce. And since there is no economic freedom, no free competition, it would end up as a no-profit motive because communists pride themselves for having equal share. The government does not impose too much profit because it gives to its people what had been generated as revenue. So basically, business firms are not motivated to sell anymore because the government intervenes the price of their goods. And for this communistic approach or communistic economic structure, there is no religion. Uh, for this type of economic system, people do not believe in the higher human being or God. Okay. Another type of economic system is market economy. So basically, the resources are privately owned and the people themselves make decisions. This is also known as capitalism or free enterprise economy, and it allows laissez-faire policy or leave it alone or let it alone in French term. So for this one, the economic problems are being decided by the person who actively participates in the interlocking network of market and prices. Also, there are many independent buyers and sellers of each product and resources. Therefore, competition arises, giving height to consumer sovereignty, and the price of good is the basis for the producer's knowledge. So this is the exact reverse of communism. So example countries that have market economy is Philippines, USA, Great Britain, Japan, and so on and so forth. So if we have this market economy or what we call capitalism, there are some characters. We have here presence of economic freedom. So people can have a choice to get rich. So basically it is the reverse of communism. So they could put up their own business. If someone does not want to work, he could choose to do so. If he works hard and longer, he could ask payment for extra working hours. We also have presence of profit motive. So there are a lot of people motivated in trading and business because there is a private property. So businessmen could price their goods and their whims, but taking in consideration the demand and supply in the market as well. Also, presence of competition. Businesses need to survive in selling. That is why they are competing with each other for the quality and the price of their product or services. In capitalism, there is also a presence of religion. So this is the recognition of the belief in God, whatever religious sector it may enter, as long as it does not jeopardize humanity. And last but not least, the characteristic of capitalism is no central planning. There is no one who could dictate how much to produce, when to produce, how to produce, for and for whom to produce. So, like the French term that we have, let alone policy or leave it alone. And our last type of economic system is the mixed economy. So basically, this has a coexistence of public and private sector managed by the government and private sectors, and they function together generally. So there are only few countries that has pure economic system. If you take a closer look at the United States of America, although there exists market economy or the capitalism, it cannot deny that the government is controlling some of its goods. So the USSR also basically is known to have a command economy, which uses also market price in some of its commodity. Another mixed economy is the Philippines. I think the Philippines, or we may think that the Philippines applies three form of economic system. The government controls the price of our basic commodities through placing price ceiling and price floor, while other commodities depend its price on the demand and supply in the market. Some of the Philippines economic activities are still being influenced by religious and cultural values as well. For example, government controls the price of rice, milk, sugar, and all agricultural products, while other commercial produce such as bags, clothes, cars, appliances greatly depend its prices on the demand and supply in the market where competition is very stiff. Basically, this has a coexistence of public and private sector managed by the government and private sectors, and they function together generally. So these are the four types of economic system. Again, we have the traditional economy, command economy, market economy, and mixed economy. So before ending this week, you may check out some references that we had prepared. So we have Principles of Economics with Taxation, Agrarian Reform and Cooperatives by Luz B. Banes. And we also have some suggested readings if you want to further explore or further learn our week 2 topic. So here are some of the suggested readings that I may share to you. We have Applied Economics by Luisa M. Macalinaw. If you have any questions for this week, don't hesitate to ask me. You may reach me through my personal account in Facebook, or you may send me a personal message through Facebook Messenger. Also, you may directly ask me at school. So before ending this week 2, I will require you to answer activity 1. which is an essay form. We have two activities, but I will just require you to submit activity 1 and answer it. So explain in 10 to 15 sentences whether each of the following is labor, capital, or land. So labor, capital, or land. Remember, these are the 4 factors of production. So you may just limit your answers in 5 sentences, and total of items is just 5 for 2 points each. So if you have any questions, once again, don't hesitate to ask me. You may reach me through my personal uh, Facebook account or through Facebook Messenger. Also, you may see me directly at school for your questions or clarifications. Thank you so much. So we have defined the 4 factors of production. We had explained the role of technology and entrepreneurs in the utilization of the economy's factors of production. And we also had differentiate between planned and free market economic systems, or the type of economic systems. So before ending this lesson, I would like to say thank you to everyone, and I would like to share a Bible verse from the book of Mark, chapter 9, verse 23. So said Jesus, everything is possible for one who believes. Basically, for with God, nothing shall be impossible. So thank you once again, and have a good morning.